May I have your attention, please?
Welcome to Real Gaijin, unveiling the real Japan, an American expat's inside look. Now it's time for another story from the Read My Lips series of podcasts. Summarized podcast.
I'm the host of the Real Gaijin podcast. Today, this is really a breakthrough for us. We have two young entrepreneurs who are proving that you can be successful running a business in Japan, even if you live on the other side of the world. You want to say a quick hello, Derek and Nick?
Hey everyone, I'm Derek.
What's going on? I'm Nick. Nice to see you
All right.
guys.
Great. And let me just clue you in. This is the first time Real Gaijin has done a three-way call via live video. So Derek is calling in from New York, and Nick is in San Diego, and I'm in Kyushu, and we're going to talk about Hokkaido, opportunities in Hokkaido in the height of the summer. What better time to do that, to talk about snow country? So, as you know, Real Gaijin focuses on what foreigners or other Real Gaijin, Gaijin means foreigner in Japanese, are doing in Japan. And it's all sorts of different things. There are about 3.7 million of us living in Japan. But these two guys are proving that you can be successful even running a business in Japan from the other side of the world. So let's just get right into it. Gentlemen, how did you meet? Derek, maybe you can start us off.
Yeah, so me and Nick met in college back in what was that? Probably 2012,
11,
2011.
2012, yeah.
Yeah, so we've been friends
Okay.
for a long time and spent most of our post-college years traveling together, surf trips, snowboard trips, and probably 3 or 4 years ago we went to Japan and we were blown away. I was pretty much focused on the snowboarding the whole time, but just Tokyo, everything was amazing. So we were kind of like, we heard whispers about cheap homes there. And then,
Mhm.
we started looking, and that's kind of how all this was born.
That's great. Actually, Nick, I should remind everyone, these two gentlemen here, you and Derek, are the founders of Yuki Homes. Maybe, Nick, can you tell everyone what does Yuki mean?
Yeah, Yuki means snow. Really, it means snow homes. So the whole kind of idea behind this was let's help other people buy cheap or at least affordable property next to ski towns or mountains or resorts or backcountry, whatever that may be. And that's kind of I mean, kind of the same story as Derek. When we got to Japan, I honestly never had it on my bucket list. It was one of those trips that I just was like, yeah, I'm in, let's do it. And I was like kicking myself for not going earlier because it
Mhm.
was the one of the best trips I've ever been on. And yeah, we're planning to go at least every year. So
Oh,
super
terrific.
fun.
Where was the first trip that you guys went on together in Japan?
It was to,
First trip,
y-
Miyoko
you go.
Kogen. Yeah, we went to Miyoko Kogen, like Nagano area. We never even went to Hokkaido on the first trip. We spent a week in Tokyo. We spent some time in Kyoto, Osaka, but 8 days, or the majority of the trip were different ski resorts in the Nagano region. Yeah.
Okay, now I have to clarify, are you guys snowboarders or skiers or both?
Snowboarders.
Yeah.
Okay,
So you
it
can
was going
hate
to
us
take
if
a
you
while,
want.
guys. No, no. Everyone's welcome. Actually, before we jump right into it, what is that like in Japan? The balance between snowboarders and skiers.
I would say it seems like it's more snowboarders compared to the US. In the US, you
Mm.
have a lot of ski only resorts, which you don't see that
Yeah.
in
Oh,
Japan at all.
oh, okay.
Yeah,
And yeah. My
they don't
experience
like
has
us.
been kind of a balance.
Yeah.
Okay, well,
Yeah.
I'm an old
There's a
guy, and
couple.
as a result, I'm only a skier, but that's not for a lack of trying snowboarding once and almost breaking my leg. But anyway, we're welcoming everybody here. All right,
Of course.
so let's first get down to all right, you became friends in college, and obviously you share a passion for traveling and snowboarding in particular. You got to Japan. All right, what was the aha moment when you thought, all right, we gotta go all in on Japan here?
I would say when we got off the bullet train into the Nagano area from Tokyo, we were tracking like the weather systems, and
Mm.
we got there at night So we got to the hotel in Shigakogen. That was our first stop. And we were
Mhm.
checking all night and it says it was dumping snow, but obviously it was dark. We couldn't see. So we got out of the hotel the next morning and there wasn't that much snow. And it turns out like the mountain we were on was kind of like blocked by the snow. But we took a bus to a resort like maybe 15 minutes down the road and it was like waist deep snow. So like once we were there, I was like, wow, this is unreal. And kind of from
Yeah.
there, that was pretty much the moment I would think where I was like, we got to come back every year.
Yeah.
All right, great. And so, Nick, then you ultimately decided to go to Hokkaido at some point, right?
I personally have not been to Hokkaido. Derek has
Oh,
been to Hokkaido a couple times, and that's actually where we bought our first property. So the town of Otaru is where I have property, and I've never been there, which feels kind of crazy. But I'm going this year, so I'm really excited to get there. But yeah, actually, Derek is kind of like a lot of the brains behind most of the operation. I do a lot of the technical stuff, and I mean, obviously, help set up a bunch of our projects now, and talk to a ton of our clients now. But Derek, for probably the last 3 years, has been like the encyclopedia of Japan. And
mm,
so it's been fun just like learning from him and yeah, obviously partnering with him and super excited to kind of be here. And but if you have any real intense questions that you really need the right answer for, I usually give them to Derek.
okay. Well, now we know. All right, Derek. So the ball's in your court. Why did you
A lot
pick
of pressure on me
Hokkaido?
now.
I know. Well,
Yeah.
Um, I think the main reason was that it's more reliable. It's more reliably snowy. Right? Like, not the Nagano area, you know, you could get a lot of, like, freeze thaw days because it's more south. So you could have, like, a season there which might turn out pretty bad. Like, the first
Mhm.
year we went, we got lucky with that huge storm, but after that storm, it didn't snow and it actually got warm, and then it turned kinda
yeah.
icy. So Hokkaido, since it's more north, is, like, a safer, more reliable bet, and it was, you know, a little more low key where we were. The resorts felt
Mm.
more untouched. We felt like it was mostly I like to call them like commuter resorts in Otaru. I don't know if anyone else calls them that, but it seems like it's mostly local Japanese people commuting from Sapporo on the weekend and on their off days. And we really liked that vibe because it was, you know, more low key.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you, and I've been there. You're absolutely right. Now,
Yeah.
all right. Now, how did you pick Otaru though to home in on that one?
The snowiest ski resort in the world is is Kiroro. So
Hmm.
which is right by Otaru. So that was a pretty easy pick. We're like, "All right, where's the snowiest resort in the world?" And then we'll buy a house over there.
Yeah. Most inches per
And-
year or centimeters.
Okay. So, I mean, how much are we talking about? I mean, is this like
800 inches a year
Yeah.
on average.
800 inches? Okay, all right, that's a lot. And
800
Yeah,
what's
inches.
the
Yeah.
approximate season? How long does the season last up in Otaru?
from December to April.
Okay, so good 5 months.
Yeah.
Excellent. So you guys were waiting to get back at the beginning of ski season, I suppose.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
mean, not
yeah.
only that though, but I mean, like I said, I haven't been in the summer, but it looks amazing. There's hiking and outdoor stuff kind of everywhere. Obviously, a lot of water. You're right on the coast. So, and I grew up surfing, so being on the coast is a really kind of important thing for me, especially if I'm like looking at maybe a second home somewhere. And so that was kind of one of the bigger reasons too, why I was kind of ready to jump right on it.
Well, that's a very good point. That yeah, Japan, particularly Hokkaido, is a great place to visit year round. Surfing, okay, so I have a feeling that in the future you guys are going to branch out into Miyazaki and Kyushu near where I live.
We have
Excellent.
looked around those places. Yeah, I know, but the name is stuck, so we're Yuki Homes either way.
Okay. Well, hey, you could be creative there. Alright. Okay, so tell us about the first property that Nick, you actually never been to, but you're owning. Derek, what did you buy to begin with?
So we actually bought a nursing home. Um,
Eh,
yeah, so it was a home that I think 4 older Japanese women lived in, and they built them a new home, and so we bought it while they were still living there, and closing took like a little extra long because they wanted to stay till like a certain period, and obviously
Hmm.
we were in no rush. So they got a new home, and then we got their old home.
And what's it
Yeah.
like?
So it's a 3 bedroom. It's like a traditional Japanese, like 1970s home, you know?
Okay.
Yeah,
It's
it looks like so many of the homes that we tour for people,
so this is essentially not an IKEA because it was occupied beforehand, but
technically.
it's an
Yeah.
older home.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
and you got a good deal for it, I imagine. You don't have to tell us exactly what you paid, but I imagine it was
We don't
reasonable.
mind selling.
Yeah. We don't care.
Oh, well, fine, then go. How much was it?
Of 26,000 USD. So it's 4 million yen.
Okay, that's pretty good deal, and it was in good shape. And
Yeah.
so where is it? It's like how many minutes away is it from all these different ski resorts near Otaru?
So it's probably like a 15-minute walk to the Otaru station, and
Okay.
it's probably about 30 minutes to Kiroro, 15 minutes to Tenguyama, and then like probably 35 and 40 to the other two Sapporo resorts.
Wow, that is a great location. And plus,
Yeah.
there's a lot to see and do in Otaru itself. It's a historical place.
Hmm.
And by the way,
Yeah.
can you? I know you've written about this, and I've learned a little bit about when I visited there. But Otaru has a very unusual history. I mean, it was really quite a center of commerce for a long time, right?
Yeah, it was the largest city in Hokkaido for a long time before Sapporo because it was like a major fishing port. And there was,
Hmm.
I can't remember off the top of my head, but some fish that like made it one of the wealthiest cities in Japan at a time.
Mm, interesting.
Yeah.
Well, sounds like a great place. And then for $26,000, when you say three bedroom, okay, I know we have a few visitors or listeners from the United States who might think, "Wow, three bedroom, that's all right, that's not bad." What exactly are we talking about in terms of square footage or
That's a good
room
Yes.
question.
space?
It's 1,100 square feet. So not a huge house by like American
Ah,
standards.
okay, but
Yeah.
if you're just
Good
going
size
for
home.
ski visits, and you guys, how often then do you typically go visit this home?
So like I try and go for 2 months to 3 months every year.
Oh, okay. All right.
Yeah.
And Nick, you're going to start
I,
that tradition too.
I know I might have to. I mean, I have to work a little bit more than Derek does, but I'm like a 2 week trip at a time. Maybe I'll get two in per year.
Yeah,
So,
but that's interesting because you guys have figured out that it makes more sense to own your own home for that amount of money in Japan rather than just do hotels
right.
and all of it, right?
Well, we are also renting the home out too to kind of offset some of the costs. So kind of when you guys were talking about the reason we bought it it was a nursing home, but another huge reason that we bought is that means basically because it was a nursing home, multiple people could live in it, aka you can rent it. It's kind of, I guess, nursing homes have the same laws as the ryokans. So
Ah,
you're able to rent the place long term. There's a license for this, and there's licenses for 180 days, there's licenses for 365 days a year, and then some zones you can't get licensed at all. So one of the big things that at least our clients like to look for is the ability to rent that, especially if it comes like our place did pre-licensed, so you don't have to go through the legislative process of figuring all that out.
oh, now that is huge. Okay, I did not know that at all. That is fascinating. Uh,
Mhm.
Huh. Yeah, I'd heard, actually, we interviewed a few weeks back, another gentleman who refurbished an old home, uh, and it is now renting it as an Airbnb, but there are limitations there, I think, of
Mhm.
180
Yeah,
days per year. Oh, you
yeah.
figured out a loophole essentially to get around that,
Yeah, I
before
don't
even
know, I wouldn't
purchasing.
call it a loophole.
Well, okay.
But
I mean, even
but yeah,
all legal, but still,
all legal.
that is very interesting. Huh. Okay. And all right. Next big thing. Here, I'll go back to Derek for a second. All right, you guys bought your own home. At least Derek has enjoyed it for as a base for skiing or snowboarding for a while. You're renting it out, so you're supplementing your income that way and offsetting the original cost of purchasing the home. Sounds great. Then you guys have decided, okay, you're going to form your own real estate brokerage firm called Yuki Homes. What was the aha moment there, Derek?
So, like, the process of trying to buy a home was pretty frustrating. We were talking to all these
Hmm.
different people, and, you know, a lot of the agents in the rural areas, they won't work with foreigners because they can't understand them. So, you sort of need a bilingual go-between. Um, and we found people who would do that, but the issue was, like, they'll sell you the home, but then they disappear, right?
Hmm.
And all the everything post-closing is on you to do, which, wouldn't work because we live in the US. So, like, we need more than that. So, we met a guy who helped us buy our home who was amazing, and after we bought our home, we're like, "Would you wanna partner with us? Like, your service is better than anyone's we've seen." And he's like, "Yeah, sure." So, we started this business, and we didn't think it would move as quick as it did, and it kinda just took off. Basically, like, the main things are when you buy a home in Japan, right, you can't it's hard to set up a bank account as a foreigner, basically impossible. So, there's
Hmm.
really no easy way to pay your taxes considering a lot of them also still come in the mail. So, you kinda need a tax manager, and this is kind of the system we built with our partner because he can act as a tax manager, he can set your utilities up, so he can handle that whole process for people who live, not in Japan.
Interesting. And how do you arrange for temporary visitors to come and stay? Like, is it an Airbnb property or other?
With our home, yeah.
other-
Yeah, it's on
Oh,
Rakuten. Yeah, it's on Rakuten, Airbnb.
Hmm.
I see.
Rakuten seems to be the more like locals use it and Singaporeans use it. Singaporeans, is that what you call them?
Yeah.
People from
Okay.
Singapore? Yeah.
Well, actually, thank you, Nick, for bringing that up because I was going to ask. Okay, so who are your target customers?
Yeah, that's a fair question. I thought I knew when we started. I was like, okay, people in tech in America are the people who are going to want to buy these homes. But we've we just closed a place with a European couple who's trying to open a ski lodge. We've actually been working probably with more Australians than Americans, and all ages, from people younger than us to people looking to retire. So honestly, I thought I had a target demographic because obviously, we're working on kind of marketing and stuff too. And yeah, it's just been throwing spaghetti at the wall right now, and we're kind of just having fun. But
Okay,
yeah.
that's a great way to put it. Well, I mean, curiously though, I've been looking at your website, and you guys seem to be focusing on properties in locations that are still relatively inexpensive, but they're near all these fantastic ski resorts. Whereas, like Niseko, world famous Niseko, the
Hmm.
pricing there in Hakuba, I mean, it's very expensive now. The land
Yeah.
prices have shot up quite a bit. Your sweet spot is going for those properties that have maybe might appreciate in the future, Derek?
Yeah, we try and tell everyone, like, don't expect that because it's Japan. So don't expect your property to appreciate. But, you know, my gut says that Otaru is a good spot, Miyoko is a good spot. So, I mean, we'll see
Yeah,
if we turn out to be right. But I think that most people are just ready for, like, the adventure of it, you know? How many
yeah.
people live in the US who are gonna buy a home in Japan? Like, it's or anywhere in the world. It's obviously a very specific type of person. Age range and person is all very different, but, like, you have to have that mindset
Right.
of buying a home, you know,
Across the
for a
world.
14-hour flight away.
Yeah.
Well, that's true. That's true. However, essentially, your clients are looking really for the adventure, for the opportunity to be close to skiing or snowboarding, as
Yeah.
opposed to an investment for future price appreciation. Essentially, right?
Yeah, I would think so. I think some people have Airbnb profits in mind,
Oh,
try and, like yeah, we try and temper those expectations, um but yeah, I think a lot of it is like, this sounds like a really awesome idea. I love Japan, I love skiing, or I love Japan for any number of reasons. We just sold someone a house in Chiba, and they run a luxury car
Hmm.
tourism service. So, like, they have all those, like, 90s Fast and Furious Japanese cars, and they rent them to
yeah.
tourists when they come. So whatever you love Japan for, and I think most people come for that, the love of Japan, and then they're like, "Oh, like, it would be really nice if I could offset some costs with rentals when I'm not there."
Mhm. And how does that work then? How do you, I mean, just promote it other than put your sites or put advertising on these 2 sites?
Social media,
Okay.
Are you
Instagram.
talking about how we find clients or how we do
Yeah.
the property
Oh,
management?
well, let's go to both of those. I was actually first on the Airbnb type of client, but well, let's cover that first. So, how do you find people to rent temporarily?
Yeah, through the sites. Rakuten, Airbnb, that's pretty much all we do. Um, yeah, and it's just kind of,
Yeah.
people who are looking for those short-term rentals, like, those are the sites they go to, and it's pretty simple. It's pretty minimal advertising.
That's great.
Yeah,
Okay.
there are I mean, there are a couple of luxury homes that they want, like, their own website, and
Yeah,
they hope to then rent it through their own website, off of Airbnb because then they can make, better margins, but I like that Airbnb has the built-in insurance, and I just
yeah.
feel like
Mhm.
there's less risks to be taken, especially if you're not there to just go through, the major companies that are built for it, right?
And then before we get out to your other clients, back on managing an Airbnb or Rakuten, Racketeer, but what what happens if something goes wrong at the property? Like, let's say the water doesn't work.
Mhm.
What do you do?
We send our partner there who lives in
Yeah.
Japan.
Okay,
Yeah, well, he
he's
has
a
an
very
entire
important guy.
team. It's
Yeah,
not
yeah,
just this
he's
guy.
no,
It's
yeah,
it's
he
it's
has a
like
team too.
24 people, I think, and he has a property management company. Some of them are even subcontractors. So we have made a couple renovations that we don't charge for any of the renovation type stuff. We don't really feel like we have anything to do with it. We're just kind of that middle ground that helps get them connected. But yeah, that's a part of this our partner's business, and he has partners who have these general contracting type licenses. So if you do renovations, I don't think it's actually called the general contracting license, but that's what it would be called in America. And in Japan, they are pretty strict on doing renovations like by the book. And if things aren't up to code, then you can't file for insurance, say an earthquake or tsunami or whatever happens, your roof caves in. Yeah.
Got it.
So
Okay. Well, that makes it easy. You just go to your guy. Got it. All right, let's go back to the main business, which is Yuki Homes. So, how do you source properties to list?
Through athome.co.jp, that website.
Mhm.
Yeah, and I
Yeah.
translate and just do Google Translate.
Okay.
I mean, well,
Wow,
not
this is
only
making it
that,
real easy here.
Yeah, it's
we
it's
also
it's
have
definitely it's definitely, painstaking to do,
yeah,
and then obviously, like, our partners in Japan, one of them is a real estate agent, so we always have
right,
him, like, sending us his favorite homes. Like, when he
right.
sees a home that he thinks is in a good location, in a good zone, he'll send them our way too, but then, if someone wants something specific, I'll go on to, like, At Home and do digging for them.
Okay. So, fantastic. For the not the specific searches that you've gotten a mandate for. Let's talk about like just generally for homes that you think or that your guys think that would be good. What are the general criteria? Looking for a certain size? Are you focusing on first of all geography, size, age? Give me a sense for what you look for.
Yeah, so, like, post 1981, so that it has the earthquake standards. Um, a lot of people want the ability to rent, so we want it to be zoned in the zone that can rent. Um,
Okay.
a garage is
Mhm.
huge, because a lot of the ski resorts in the area we're in, like I said, are commuter resorts, so you need a car to get to them. So a
Mm,
garage is huge, and then one thing that we really like is for it to have extra land to dump snow, because if you don't have land to dump your snow, you have to hire a service to truck your snow
Mhm.
out, and that can be expensive. So if you have a little side plot where you could put all your snow, that makes things a lot better.
All right, I'm from Chicago and have moved to Kyushu in the south of Japan. One of the key reasons was to never have to shovel snow again. But you guys, this is an
Oh,
attribute that you're
sure.
looking for. Nick, you're in
What's
San Diego. You have no comment here. Okay,
Yeah,
what's
no,
that's
really
not at
funny.
all.
Oh, sorry.
that
What's really funny is
no.
we had a client who said that he loves snow shoveling, so the snowier the better. I was like, this guy's crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely
well,
psycho.
here they shovel it. Well, do any of these homes have like entranceways on the second floor?
Yeah, a few of them actually do have stairs up to the entranceway.
Okay, yeah, that's traditional in Yukiguni in snow country. And then, so for the locations there, are you guys focused pretty much in Hokkaido, or are you also looking in other locations around Japan?
Yeah,
Nick, you
so
want to
we
take that
have
one?
sure. Yeah, we have the ability to help you after you get the keys in Hokkaido. So that
Mm,
makes it easier for us to kind of be a trusted partner. And, because we have the partnerships in Hokkaido. So if you do want to go move forward and rent your property, then it makes it a lot easier for us to help you if it's in Hokkaido. However, we've made several relationships with a couple towns just outside of Tokyo, in Tokyo, and in some surrounding areas where, we work with real estate agents and partners to find you a house wherever you do need it. So we have the ability to help kind of generally. But if you need the help, post purchase, that's where we just have a lot more to offer, I think.
okay, and then, so Nick, when you say the post-purchase, like managing the property and so forth, that sounds pretty valuable. I mean, without going into too many details, but how much do you charge? I mean, what would be a typical management fee?
Yeah, that's a fair question. They're actually all live on our website. We have a pricing page, so we're not we don't really charge per person, whether we like you or not. We try to be pretty fair, but at a very basic rate, like things that you absolutely need would be like your taxes need to be taken care of, mail sorting, stuff like that. And this is if you don't have a car, right? Because we also can help manage your car if you need that, or just make sure it runs and everything for when you do show up. Um, that basic rate, I think, would end up being roughly 4,000 a year. It's like roughly 300 a month is I think what the price is right now, and that's like your house is going to exist and you're good. If you're going to go kind of the full package, hey, I want my house on Airbnb and any other website. There's two or three other websites that we typically list properties on. And I want you to clear the snow every time I have guest visit and change the sheets, typical Airbnb turn.
Yeah.
Um, it gets to be about 25% of total revenue from the Airbnb, and then we charge, I think it's roughly 600 a month, depending on, we have like some smart home additions and appliances that we can help you get if depending on how much, surveillance you want to have. Um, and Derek, correct me if I'm wrong on any of those numbers, but I think it's roughly 25%. Some of it
Mhm,
might be based on home value. So if your home is valued at $1 million, we're going to charge you a little bit more to take care of it than if it's $40,000. Um,
mhm.
Makes sense.
but yeah, I think that
Yeah,
answers
that's
the question at
yeah, that
least.
sounds right.
And okay, well, this is probably a different one, but how do people or investors determine an optimal rate to charge their guests?
Yeah, there's a few. I think I think one of the things is like we've just kind of understood, like we've been doing this, so now we kind of know what to charge in most towns. But if it's
Mm,
a town that we've never been to, what I'll often do is like I'll go on Airbnb and I'll like see what everyone's charging, and then I'll go through their calendars. I'll see what the occupancy rates are on average. There's a few sites in the U.S. like called AirDNA that take all
Hmm.
this data and they make it super simple, but they don't. It doesn't like, for some reason, they don't have the Japanese data, so you have to do it by hand and go in there,
okay,
but
but
that's
you
pretty
guys do
much
that
what we
for
do.
your clients.
Yeah.
Okay,
De-
that's pretty
Derek's
valuable.
also Derek's also being modest. He's managed Airbnbs for the past almost 10 years, so in
Yeah.
the States and elsewhere. So he knows what he's doing a little bit more than he's leading on.
Uh-huh. All right. And then Nick, back to you though on location. Hokkaido is also a pretty big place. So within Hokkaido, like, are you steering clear of the Niseko area in, or everything goes in Hokkaido?
No, that's a fair question. We aren't steering clear of Niseko, but typically what our clients are looking for is more along the lines of, hey, I'm looking for something that I can actually pay full price for. I don't want a
Mm,
$1 million condo, which, a lot of places in Niseko that are actually close to ski resorts are upwards of
yeah.
$1 million. And there's already a ton of real estate agents that are really excited to sell those houses.
Mm,
I just don't think it's as big of a gap, I guess, in the market for us to take a piece, if that makes sense. But yeah, I mean, it looks like an awesome place. I know a lot of people who love it, and I don't think we would ever tell someone that wants to go to Niseko not to, I guess is what I'm trying to say. We just
Mhm.
have a little bit more experience with smaller towns on the countryside, and that's what I'm more interested in as a person anyway. So I
Mhm.
think
mhm.
when someone's more interested in that, I just connect with them better.
Mhm.
Derek, did you want to add something there?
Yeah, I think Nick made a really interesting point is that in like the major areas like Tokyo, Osaka, Kyoto, Niseko, Hakuba, there's a lot of international agents who can help you buy homes. In the areas that are smaller and more off the beaten path is where you're going to run into trouble trying to buy a home. And
Mm,
that's kind of the market that we're filling. And I think it's also just like, and like Nick said, it's a natural fit for us because like, that's kind of just how we are. We connect more with those places, right? We don't want to be in like the Aspen of Japan. We'd rather be in
Right.
like
yeah,
the more low key, like experience Japan, those type of places.
that sounds great. And yeah, and it's a wonderful place to go skiing. Particular, I mean, Niseko, I've been there. It is great skiing.
Yeah.
Amazing. J-Pow. But it's pretty hard to get to. I mean, it's like 3 hours away from Sapporo, isn't it? I mean, it's a long way.
Yeah. Yeah.
Otaru is much more convenient. You can get there by train.
Mhm.
Speaking of getting around, one of the two of you, I think, owns a kei-tora, right? A mini pickup truck from Japan.
Yeah. Have a
Is that you,
Suzuki
Derek?
carry. Yeah.
It's a scary. Okay, and you're driving a Suzuki Carry in New York.
Yeah. Yeah.
But how did you get it to New York?
There's a guy, he's called
Yeah.
the mini truck
The
king.
guy.
He calls himself the mini truck king. He's in New Jersey and he has a lot with like 100 mini trucks, 100 key trucks. And yeah, he does all the paperwork so they come like ready to go.
Ah.
Yeah.
So you must get a million questions when you go to a parking lot or a Home Depot
Yeah.
or something.
Yeah. People love it. Everyone's like, where do I get one?
Yeah. Okay. Well, you got the guy. And then when you let's assume that you've got a client that wants to come visit their property and they need a rent a car. Do you help with that too in Japan?
Yeah. Yeah. So
Okay.
that was another thing that like made us really like this partner that we found. His name is Jacob. So he also does that as well. So if you want a whole car set up when you get there, he'll call in a rental for you. He'll get the car waiting for
Mhm.
you at the airport. And then
Mhm.
if you want to purchase a car, he'll purchase a car and get it registered for you in your name, which again is like talking to other people in the space that me and Nick are in is really a difficult thing to do if you don't know what you're doing for a foreigner to register a car in their name.
Mhm.
So he's really just an unbelievable guy. So
It sounds like it. Well, you got
yeah.
quite a few guys that help you out, but that is good. Do you find that some of your clients, I mean, it probably does make a lot of sense to buy an inexpensive, especially used vehicle like a kei-tora, as opposed to renting. It's probably much cheaper.
Yeah. Yeah. I wrote a blog post about it the other day. I think, when you're coming, if it's just, if it's you and your significant other or a one friend, I think it makes a lot of sense to buy a car. Unfortunately for us, like we often travel with like a big group of friends because, everyone wants to come and stay in our house. And So to buy like a 8-seater or a 10-seater van,
Yeah.
I think like economically, it
Expensive.
hasn't made sense yet.
Okay. Well, that makes sense. That's good.
Yeah.
All right, then back to Nick on location. Since you haven't been there yet, I'm taking
Nope.
a wild guess here that you'll know the answer. But all right, Niseko has been around for a long time. Everyone literally in the ski world knows it. Some of the other places, like Sapporo Kokusai, that's been a local resort for a long time, Ryutsu, unusual spots. What's up and coming in Hokkaido? What's the next Niseko, for example?
Yeah, that's a really interesting question. So I did a lot of research around this particular question because I wanted to kind of, I don't know, I think Derek's a little bit more of a gunslinger than I am in terms of like just going for something. And the one piece of knowledge that I learned that made me think Otaru was possibly the next spot was that the bullet train is going to go there within the
Ah,
next 4 to 6 years. So I think it was originally scheduled for 2028. It might be scheduled for 2032 now, but those are the towns that we are trying to focus on. And
mm,
that is kind of what happened in the past with Niseko. Not that the bullet train went there, but I think there's a lot of correlations to what Niseko was 20, 30 years ago and what Otaru is today. So I don't know. I'm an economist by my background, so I look at a lot of data, and things
mm,
cannot be correlate or can be correlated, but not be like causal. But I do think that there's a lot of similarities between what Niseko was in the past and what Otaru is today. And there's a couple other towns that we're looking at that have really similar character traits. Um, but yeah, I don't know. I mean, at the end of the day, it's impossible to really know. And so I don't want to get anyone's hopes up. We do try to make sure we tell our clients, hey, you're buying in Japan because you love it in Japan and you want to go there. If you do end up making money and you build equity, that's a bonus, right?
okay, good, good. Well, that makes a lot of sense. And how about other locations, like in the future? I know you're focused on Hokkaido and Otaru in particular, but like in the other regions of Japan that are known for snow, like Kyoetsu or Tohoku, you know.
Yeah, Derek would have a lot more information on the snow areas for sure. I've actually been focused on there's a strip of land about an hour to 2 hours north of Tokyo, and the waves are really good in that kind of stretch. So I'm looking at properties there and seeing, what kind of relationships we might be able to make, stuff like that, because I'm pretty excited. I would even say that I'm more excited to have a house near really good waves than I am near really good
Ah,
snow, even though I do love both of them. Um, but that's just me. So that's where I'm doing a little bit of research, and I think Derek would have way more knowledge on Hokkaido and different snow areas.
okay, that sounds good. Well, we might come back to that in just a second, but Derek, the ball's back in your court. So, besides Hokkaido and the area around Otaru, how about are you
Mhm.
guys thinking about branching out or developing other relationships in like Joetsu or Tohoku, other ski resorts?
Yeah. Sorry, my phone is falling down over here.
Okay.
I think I got it. Yeah, so we are actually helping a couple right now in Joetsu. It's funny that you mentioned
Mm-hmm.
that. It's actually technically Miyoko City,
Mm-hmm.
so it's right over there. And it's a really interesting project that we have a meeting with them later today. We're really excited about it. So they're buying what looks like to be an old inn, like an old traditional farmhouse,
Mm-hmm.
and there's a community program in this town where that if you buy this property, then you also can get a community center and half of a mountain included in it if you write an essay and like show your commitment to the city that you're gonna invest in it, create business, and bring people. It's like this rural initiative. So it's something that we're currently working on, that I think could be really cool because, like you said, Joetsu City, Miyoko, they're building that massive resort that Singaporean company is building at I think it's $1.4 billion resort. So I think that whole area has a lot of potential. I think if you were to ask me what is the next Hakuba Niseko, I think Miyoko, if I had to
Hmm.
put all my money on it, I would bet Miyoko is, I think Otaru has a lot of potential too. I think maybe Miyoko's like a few years ahead of it, of Otaru, I would say.
And Miyoko also has the bullet train Shinkansen access.
Yes, exactly. Yeah.
Uh-huh. How about Tohoku? I mean, I know it takes a little bit longer perhaps to get there, but great snow.
Yeah, I've never been up there. This
Okay.
my stand keeps on falling. Yeah, I've never been up there, but I think there's a lot of really good resorts. I actually spent a long time recently with a client just looking. There's a website called Powder Hounds, shows you every resort in Japan. So I spent a long time with a client going to each resort and looking at property in each area for them. Uh, so I haven't been to all the resorts, but on a map, I'm very familiar with all of them.
You guys are doing this the right way, though, doing metrics or checking the numbers first. Back to the numbers guy, Nick. Okay, let's go back. I know you're focused
Uh,
on Yuki Homes, Snow Homes, but it sounds like surfing locations are next on the long-term strategic plan here, huh?
I wouldn't even say it's strategic for the company. I think it's just strategic for my life.
All right, well, Japan has fantastic surfing.
Yeah, yeah, it really does. I can't even remember the name of the town, and some of the spots I definitely can't pronounce. But I definitely have seen plenty of videos of people getting absolutely barreled with nobody else around, and that's kind of like the epitome of the best surf trip ever. So I would like to
Okay.
make that possible. And we've met a couple of Australians actually that have small surf lodges in some of the more like Caribbean looking areas, like southern Japan. Um, but I haven't really seen much of that in northern Japan. So business idea for someone else that we can't handle. But if you need help sourcing property, we could try to help you. But
Okay,
yeah,
very
that
good.
would definitely be a pretty cool kind of dream or something coming down the line.
We'll look forward to that. All right, Derek, back to you. All right, I am a potential client here. I
Mm.
walk me through the whole process. What do you do when you first meet a new person to when you give them the keys, and then also sign a contract for managing the property afterwards? Walk me through the
Mhm.
whole process.
Okay. So we usually do a 30-minute Google Meet. That's how we introduce ourselves. Um,
Mhm.
and I just answer any questions anyone has. I explain our process step by step. And after that meeting, they usually give me a budget, a location, a time frame to purchase, and I'll source homes for them that fit that criteria. So I'll send them a list of homes with like a detailed breakdown. A lot of things people look for, like, distance to trains, parking spots. Those are like a lot of things that people want. And understandably, being near a train is awesome. Um,
Mhm.
and then if they like the homes we send them and they want to work with us, we send them our contract, they sign our contract, and we immediately start working. So out of those 5 homes, if they like any of them, we send our team in Japan to do video tours live on a
Mm.
Zoom. Um, and if they don't like any of those 5 homes, we keep searching for them until we find one they like. Once we do some video tours and they've zoned in on one home, we send an offer and we negotiate on their behalf. A lot of people come in with like American
Yeah.
expectations where they're like, "Oh, this home's been listed for 300 days. Let's like lowball them." And I'm like, "We can't do that because like that's just not how it works here. Five, 10% is even pushing it on an offer
Mhm.
below asking price." Um,
Ooh.
so
Yeah, sellers sometimes won't work with you at all if you
yeah,
try to make a low ball offer.
yeah.
So,
Oh.
So we negotiate, say everything goes well, we get the contract back. We go over the contract with our team in Japan and the potential buyer, and we translate it for them. Well, we don't translate, but we're just there for moral support. And so then they sign the contract, and then the house is pretty much theirs. They put an earnest deposit down, and then closing takes about a month. And then about a week before closing, we meet with the judicial scrivener. And if they want to do power of attorney, if unless they're not going to be there for closing, they give us power of attorney.
Mm,
And and then yeah, if they're there, we go celebrate after. If they're in America, we mail them the keys, or Australia, we mail them the keys. And then after that, how it usually works is we'll already have the management plan like discussed with them. And the second that we close, we immediately set up their utilities. We get appointed as their tax manager so we can handle their tax stuff. And if they want to do Airbnb, we start applying for licenses with the local municipality. And and then if they need renovations, we get that started right away too. And then that's pretty
mm.
much it. We try and make it like buying a home in your home country, try and make it smooth.
Sounds pretty easy. And okay, now this might be difficult to answer, but here I'll go back to Nick, the numbers
Okay.
guy here. How much does this cost? I mean, obviously location, size, all sorts of attributes, but what's the range for what you can get for an older property?
Yeah, I mean, you can find properties for free. I wouldn't recommend buying them, but they are out there. The typical price of a home that we sell that's, I mean, quote unquote turnkey would be 70,000 US dollars. Um,
Okay.
Ours was 26,000 US dollars, and we put, I think, roughly 15,000 into
Hmm.
renovations. And yeah, I mean, after that, we are you asking for the cost of our fee? We charge 1,500 up front, 1,500 on closing, and then you have to pay like the real estate management fees and stuff like that. But to get everything set up is kind of part of the package that we offer. It's a matter of time. It's not necessarily money. And then, yeah, I mean, once it's up and running, there's no extra cost. Obviously, if something breaks, we bill you.
Mm,
But,
mhm.
but am I answering the question, or what
Yeah,
costs?
you are. You answered multiple questions, but that's great. You charge a flat fee, not a percentage of the purchase price. Then.
Right, legally, if you are not a real estate agent license holder, I don't think you are allowed to take a percentage of the purchase price, but you can
Mm,
charge a fee based on the price of the home if you want to, but you can't call it like, I guess you can't build it into I don't really know the exact, it's probably a gray area to be honest, but that's why
mm,
we do charge flat fee up front, flat fee at the end. And then there are real estate companies that offer finder's fees if it's in a
mm,
place or area where we don't necessarily have connections to move forward past, hey, here, check this place out. Um, but yeah, then the
Good.
price of the home, I think after a certain price, we do charge based on the price of the home. But some of the prices we're honestly still working out in our heads
Mhm.
because we want to make sure things are fair on both sides. And I mean, especially with our partner Jacob and his team, um, we just want to make sure that they're making a living as well.
Well, sure, but this sounds quite reasonable. So, uh,
Yeah, we try to keep it reasonable. Exactly.
yeah, and what a interesting spot. All right, and then oh, before we run out of time here, my goodness, time has flown by. We have quite a number of people listening at the moment. Any questions that you have, just put them in the chat. We will try. We have to do everything by our mobile phones, but we will. All three of us will check the chat and answer your questions. So please go right ahead. That's terrific. And then, by the way, in switching gears a little bit, but you guys are doing something remotely in Japan without necessarily even knowing the language, which is pretty amazing. I do you have any plans to move to Japan in the future?
I could
Um,
see myself in Japan in the future. I love the culture. I mean, being in Tokyo, seeing no trash cans and no trash on the ground is almost like an experience that I think every human should have. Just being in a huge city with so much order felt and respect felt pretty awesome. So I mean, just
Yeah.
comparing that to New York City is it's not even comparable, and without going there, I would have never known that.
Okay. Derek?
Yeah, it's what's funny is our first trip to Japan, I remember we were staying in Tokyo and I let Nick book the hotel and Nick books a hotel like right across from a park because he's like, I'm gonna need some green space because he's not like a city guy. He's like, I'm gonna need a place to calm down. It's gonna be overwhelming. And then when we got there, he was like, "This is the most calm city that I've ever been to." And it really is, like, it's an unbelievable
Yeah,
feeling to be, because like, I'm in New York City all the time, and I see trash everywhere, and it's just a very different feeling. New York City does feel, in a way, very overwhelming, where Tokyo feels like a huge city, but there's just, it's almost quiet in like, so many
yeah,
places. It's a nice place. I could see myself living there. Absolutely.
Okay. Great. Well, you certainly have the location in Otaru to go visit. How about other foreigners? Do you come across people, perhaps some of your investors or clients, that want to move to Japan?
Yeah, a lot.
Okay. So
Yeah.
they're dabbling here by purchasing these properties, but the ultimate intention is to move in?
Yeah,
mhm,
so yeah, they wanna buy a house and they also want visa help, and, like, that's not our area. I could give them a couple tips, I could point them to people, but, we're not visa experts by any means, so we defer those questions to people who know. Um, but yeah, I would say a lot of clients definitely wanna move there.
yeah, at least as a
That-
second home, right? So we have
Mhm.
clients that wanna spend 3 to 6 months there, which with the typical tourist visa, you can get up to 180 days, so that's usually fine. But for people that wanna move there more permanently, you probably have more knowledge than
Yeah.
anyone on
Hmm.
that.
Yeah, well, I'm a permanent resident, but you're right. However, actually, I'm looking forward in the future to doing an interview with someone that helps foreigners get an investor visa. So for about
Mm.
5 million yen, you can, if you start a business, and actually it can be an Airbnb business, I believe. You can,
Wow.
yeah, you can get a
Oh.
visa that way. Okay, well, we'll save that for another day. But still, this is just spectacular that you guys have gotten this far and done so well. What do you think is going to be the future of your business?
Um, yeah, we were just talking, me and Nick were talking
Yeah.
about this. There's,
We weren't
those
sure
that
if we were
community.
gonna leak the future.
Yeah, we have,
Go ahead.
the community project we were talking, like, of course, we
Yeah.
wanna grow the main business, like, we wanna help people buy homes, we don't wanna get too distracted by, like, the new shiny object, and we wanna make sure we stay focused on helping people buy homes, but, of course, that community project sounds cool.
Mhm.
There's a mayor of a small town in Hokkaido that our partner Jacob is friends with, and there's an old ski resort there that's been abandoned for 20 years, and he wants Jacob maybe with our help to like restart the resort. Again, that's something that seems like so over my head. Um, but we're pretty industrious. I think me and Nick could figure it out. And like
Yeah.
I'd
at
say so.
least at least, I think our biggest strength is like I think we're pretty good at relying on people who know what they're doing and giving people like the space to do that. So I think we could figure that out if we needed. And then the other thing was that we weren't sure if we were gonna leak this, but we have a meeting on Thursday with someone who is in the trying to build a search and discovery tool for Japanese homes. So
Ah,
that could be something that
ah,
that we're working on.
cool.
Sort of like a Zillow.
Oh,
Mhm.
ah,
Yeah.
this
Yeah.
hello.
Zillow.
Yeah, Japan doesn't really have that. That's great. Huh.
Yeah.
Well, you've got a long list of things to do. And Nick, you want to add to that list?
I actually don't. I typically am the detractor of list items, but both of
Mm.
those both of those opportunities he mentioned, I am excited about. Um, I know he mentioned 3 because there's one that I'm not as excited about, which is resurrecting the old ski town, because that does seem a little bit over our head. But, we go back and forth on that one a lot, in private usually.
Well, now you've opened it up to the whole world. But however, frankly, that's interesting because it seems like your relationship, not just as a personal level, but as two business partners, you have the strength to say no to something if you don't feel it
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
important.
Yeah.
Good. Great. Hey, let's check to see if we have any questions. I don't see any at the moment, but that
I
doesn't
think
mean that there won't be.
Neil
Ah,
asked which system is easier. Um, to be honest, I don't really think either one is harder or easier. I think Airbnb opens you up a little bit more to rowdy American guests, and
mm,
Rakuten can sometimes be more local guests. Um,
Hmm.
obviously that depends on the level of kind of property you have too. If you have a luxury home that rowdy American or Australians can't afford, then no worries. But yeah, I don't know. That's the only thing that I've even noticed, and I wouldn't even say it's extreme. That's more of a joke. But yeah, I
yeah.
don't think there's necessarily a benefit or whatever the opposite of a benefit is to either one.
Well, yeah, Rakuten definitely would probably attract more Japanese people at
Right.
Rakuten
Yeah.
travel. But how about I'm curious. We always read about how a lot of Chinese people are investing, particularly in the high end new places around Niseko. I mean, are you planning to have like your site in Chinese at some point, or work with a Chinese person?
Yeah, we've never had anyone contact us yet that's from China. We've had a few Singaporean clients,
Mhm.
Mhm.
um, but no Chinese. Yeah, I mean, we'll help anybody, but we haven't had anyone from China call us yet.
Okay,
Yeah, I I think technologically I could switch our site to Chinese, but then when they expect me to speak it, I would have no idea what I'm doing, you know?
well, you might need another guy, but okay,
Yeah,
sounds good.
I need more guys.
Yeah, you can never have too many guys.
Yeah, well, you guys are the masters of that. All right, terrific. And all right, so you're counting down the months until snow country, although you're planning a visit in the end of August to check out Hokkaido in the summertime, which is a great time to go.
Yeah, and we're gonna check out Izu Peninsula also. I think it's
Oh,
a place that we get a lot
Mhm,
of people talking about. I think it's a really interesting place. It's still really affordable. It's still close to Tokyo. It's beautiful. There is some surfing there. I think
mhm.
I've never been yet, so I'm excited to check it out.
yeah, you guys have got a great trip planned. Terrific. And Nick, you're going from San Diego. I mean, it's hard to imagine you're not completely satisfied with life there.
I know.
Perfect weather.
Yeah, it's pretty perfect here. There's plenty of waves here, but no, I mean, there's something about Japan that definitely makes me keep wanting to go back and explore more. Obviously, if I'm crunched on time, all I want to do is snowboard, but when we have the time to explore other places, I mean, yeah, plenty of places over there that I want to see. And I'm excited to hear what Derek says about the Izu Peninsula because that's been on the radar too. That's kind of what I was talking about earlier.
Got it. Yeah, no, it's a beautiful place. I think you're gonna have a good trip. All right, gentlemen. Well, our hour is about up. Thank you for all the listeners. Good question there, Neil Hartman. Thank you very much. All right, so Derek, tell us and tell our listeners, how do we find you guys? How do we follow up? I'm interested to buy a house. What do I do now?
Go to yukihomes.com and click book a consultation, and it'll take you right to my calendar. Very simple. Or
Mhm.
follow us on Substack. But I guess no, well, not everyone here would be following us. So yeah, follow us on Substack.
Got it. Good. Or find you through one of your guys, I guess, huh?
Yeah.
Plenty of guys know about us.
All right, gentlemen. Thank you. This has been fun, and I think you're off to a fantastic start. I can only imagine Yuki Homes is going to grow to be this vast conglomerate, for maybe in the surf business too. We're looking forward to keeping track of you. Thank you again. Nick, you want to say goodbye to everybody?
No, thank you so much, Mark, and thanks for having us. Really appreciate it. This was fun.
Yeah.
Good. My pleasure. Derek, you want to say a final word?
Um, I'm at loss
Or
for
not?
words right now.
All right, thank you.
All right. Have a good
I couldn't think
evening
of
for both
anything
of
Keep in
you in the
funny.
touch,
United
Mark.
States. We're waiting for you to
All
get
right.
here in Japan. All right. Bye bye.
All
Thank you,
right, see you,
everyone.
Mark.
Thanks for watching and or listening to another story from the Read My Lips series of podcasts on Real Gaijin. Tell us what you think and be sure to tune in again next time.